can't deal with that. Jay, just so you know, we were talking about things that are deal breakers. You know, we're obviously married or whatever, man. What are some deal breakers, man, that might be for you, man? Looking at relationships that you might be embarking upon.
Communication is huge for me, both professionally and personally. And not just for the sake of, but effective communication. If you have an issue of any kind, you need to speak on that. I hate when people that I'm dating don't communicate and sit on these issues, because now you're making decisions without even having a conversation with me. And when it really could have been worked out, which is why I hate the phrase irreconcilable difference. Because to me, it reads like, okay, these are two people that clearly have not communicated effectively to figure out what the issue is and how to move past it. If you're not about bills paid, money saved, food on table, house to reside in, or if you're messing with those four pillars, I can't deal with you. And I mean, you could pull a lot of different ideas and beliefs from those things. So, for example, this narrative that currently exists, I mean, this could just be my opinion, but I feel like it's a thing where it's just not enough for a man to be chivalry anymore. Like, we have to essentially just kind of, you know, pay the way for the both of us, which I'm not against. I don't necessarily agree, but I'm not against. But again, bills paid, money saved, food on table, house to reside in. Yeah. Which basically means if you're trying to decide between this Balenciaga outfit and whether or not our car notes are paid, you're already wrong. That shouldn't even be a thought in your mind. Right. I mean, I could sit here and list time management, awareness of your finances, communication, but a lot of my stuff just revolve around those pillars. Because if you're satisfying those things, I feel like most other things can just be talked out and worked out. Yeah. But I mean, that's me because I'm a flexible individual. Like, I'm not so absolute like I used to be. I'm willing to listen to reasoning to grow, to evolve. So, you know, I don't have all the answers, and I'm still learning things about myself and about this world. But
we all are, definitely. I was just kind of curious, man, because I asked, you know, Kev's been married for some years. I've been married for some years. We celebrated 15 years this year. You know what I mean? We're looking at early 2000s, right? You know what I mean? From that standpoint, a lot has changed. So and when you say like women now expect, and maybe we shouldn't generalize, but from your experiences and your encounters, you're saying women now just expect for you to take care of it all and be.
So here's my thing. And this is what I struggle with, because again, I'm not trying to be one side or the other, but I'll date a woman, I'll have dated a woman recently who says I should pay the house note, the car notes, most other bills, and then they take care of some really small bills. And I come from the position where if you got it, then let's split it down the middle. If you don't got it, then we can adjust accordingly in XYZ. But
if you don't get all the money, how am I gonna give you all my pimping? That's what it is. Like, you can't give me half the money. You gotta have all the money if you want all my pimping, right?
I mean, now this is an extreme situation, so I know this isn't a representation of all women, but I did recently go on a date where a woman expected me to pay her car note. First date, by the way.
Wow, you see, you swimming in a cesspool, bro. I'm gonna be honest, man.
Wow.
That she's already on the curb, because obviously she's asking to pay her car note. She ain't paying her own, right? She ain't even taking care.
There's a lot you can pull from a statement like that.
And what?
So that was easy. I just, you know, for her honesty and her audacity, and called the waiter, check please, and wrapped up that date, and I was out.
So I don't know if that's a new thing as much as that's just a certain genre of person that like has this, you know, they buy into these tropes, and they kind of think, you know, it's no different than like, you know, not every dude is going to be doing home repairs. I love that stuff. But like, you know, certain women, and they expect certain things, and certain men also, not every woman is going to be, you know, suited and booted to the T every time you want her to be. And she ain't gonna always look cute. You know what I mean? You got to accept her every now and then in a different way. Also, not every woman that you know is going to be down to do a lot of the things you want to do, right? Like as far as like, you know, I want a woman that's going to cook, clean, who's going to be a homemaker, whatever the case. I'm not saying that's even, but all those things, those requirements, people I think buy into those, or that's a part of like what they're encultured to, right? Like I always think it's funny because like little boys play with trucks and girls play house, right? So from the time there, a lot of young girls, now this is just I'm not trying to, just a blanket statement. I don't want to even say women, but there are certain ways people, because, you know, I think that everyone's different. I think nowadays too, it's more and more different. I think now people are so much more like trying to go against the idea of what was traditional, whether it's on purpose or maybe they just are tired of it. Right. But I do think that like, you know, if you find somebody like that, you got to kick in because they got to be flexible, right? Like Khalid mentioned, like, you know, changing and like being flexible is a part of like being with anybody, right? So like, if she's just like, that's a crazy requirement, bro. I'm like, where's your money at?
Yeah, I'm just curious. You mentioned audacity, the audacity of someone to really say that. And I respect from a full transparency, like, oh, okay, that's what you expect. Okay, well, yeah, that's not what I'm willing to even offer. Even if I got it, you know what I'm saying? Which I'm pretty sure I do, but that's not the point. Like,
of course,
I'm looking for equity in my relationship. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I don't know, that just sounds preposterous.
Because what she's missing is if you put in time, and I know I can trust you, and I know I do love you, and I know I want to spend the rest of my life with you, then I will be paying your car note.
You know, here's the thing, though.
Even then. Well, I don't necessarily feel the need to pay somebody's car note. Like,
I'll say this to somebody who's my wife.
If things are abundant, right? I would probably do a lot of things. Like I would buy my wife a car. There's also a trade-off, right? Like if I'm doing all this, you ain't just sleeping in every day, kicking. Like you're managing the home. You're doing something, right? And I think that's also very valuable. You're raising the kids, you're managing the home. That's a trade-off, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily wanting that kind of lifestyle because I want to be involved in some way. Right. But I'm also, because I'm not 24/7 work, that lifestyle doesn't work for us. You know what I mean?
You know, I'm willing to be flexible and trade off some things, but you know, I certainly would just, you know, like to meet somebody who's on the same page, but at the same time, like, you know I'm going to have to sacrifice some things, and that's cool. Like it ain't going to be my way all the way. And I wouldn't even want it that way because that just sounds like it's hella boring. And, you know,
yeah, you're not going to be challenged or anything like that, but you know, being in a position to grow, in my humble opinion, man, I constantly get challenged, even today, man. Like, you know, and challenge for the good. Let me say that. You know,
I don't believe that.
I'm just being honest.
It's just audacious to me for you to ask that, and I don't know you.
I mean, again, on one hand, I fully respect the transparency.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the most transparent woman I've met.
Well, you know,
at that point, it's like I'm done. I think we're done here. If you're even open and honest enough to put that out there, and as your expectation, thank you. We're done.
Yeah. You know, here's the thing. There's somebody for everybody, right? She'll find that dude. It just ain't gonna be me, right? And that's like, but and my thing about that, like I would say, even if you don't have to do something, me understanding that you're willing to do it matters, right? So if your expectation coming in is you're not doing nothing, then I know that if times get hard, you ain't gonna be doing shit either. I would love for my wife not to have to work, to be honest, because I think I saw her give birth. I think she deserves it. But at the same time, I'm thankful to have a wife who has some ambition and it's not about laying on her ass.
Yeah.
Even if she was home, I don't think she would just sit on her ass.
Right.
Like I think she want to run a business of her own. She has personal ambition. That's more important. So when I get the signal from someone who says automatically they don't expect to have to pay their own bills, like, what are you doing right now?
Yeah, man. I mean, right. Like, that's weird, man. And I really appreciate the way that you just articulated that. It's like, I would love for my wife not to work. You know, I think we could comfortably say that, but you still want some level of ambition that person has, other than just, like you say, sitting on your ass and not doing anything. I mean, anybody can do that. That's not the kind of person that honestly I would prefer to be with. I don't think I would be with Tanya if she had that mentality that I don't want to work. Well, you know what? That's not how I grew up. My mom worked. My dad worked. They both worked together, not only to raise the children, but to provide a type of household and a lifestyle for them and their children, a neighborhood that they wanted to grow up in, different things that they wanted to expose us to as kids that they didn't necessarily have. They knew they needed to do that together. Also, it's a different time. You know what I'm saying? The opportunities and options available to Black folks at that point were a little different too, but they made that decision. So I reflect on what they've done, and I want that in my marriage, and hell, I would want that for my son and his marriage. I think that's one of those things of growing together, working together, and living together. It's not like, there's not an imbalance.
And just to clarify, right? Not to say that being a homemaker isn't work.
No,
so once again,
I
would retire my wife, but I also have faith that my wife is the kind of person that she has some sort of personal ambition where she would not want to sit around and do nothing either. So
also important to say.
So yeah, so I mean, like, even if I could say, hey, go home and be a homemaker, to be honest, would expect that then I'm not gonna have to come home and clean a whole lot necessarily. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I would also expect that if I'm a house husband, that I'm gonna do whatever I can, because some women make more than their husbands. Plenty of them do. Shoot, honestly, my wife's made way more money than me plenty of times. Like, and that's fine. But it's like, at the same time, like, if I'm an actual like stay home like spouse, man, she shouldn't have to come home and do much.
Shouldn't at all. Shouldn't at all, man.
That's the thing. Like, so whoever the other person is, it's not like, oh, now I don't have to do work. I'm just going to lay in bed and sleep till noon, and I'm going to get up and go to the country club and chill. Nah, man. Like, hey, I better not come home and see nothing in the sink.
Right.
Yeah, at that point, it doesn't make a lot of sense. What are you doing with your time, right? And even if you're not doing those things, okay, are you starting a small business? Do you have a side hustle? If it's not those things, man, the kids better be taken care of. I might not be able to make it to such and such practice. You better be there. I ain't got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm working late for a reason because you over here doing this.
Today, what's interesting though, as well for me with relationships and women in particular is who decides, like, let's say you're going to decide as a family who's going to be the stay-at-home parent. What would have been almost an impossibility 30, 40 years ago, now men are considering the idea of that.
Oh, for sure. And I think that matters financially more than anything else. This guy, I don't know if he had a college degree or not, or if he had just, maybe an associate's, but his wife had a higher degree. She was able to make more money. And every dollar he made was actually going to pay for their daycare, but it wasn't even covering because they had 3 kids in a span of, I think, 4 years. And so all these kids are in daycare. All of, if we're both working, if you have any idea how much childcare costs, like,
oh my God,
that multiplier is a killer. I've had 2 in private school and childcare at the same time. It was my mortgage payment twice. You know what I'm saying? So like, you have 3 kids and I spent time, and she just was like, look, if you stayed home, we would save all this money, and I'll just work harder and just make sure you back me. And it worked out for them. It made sense. Like, it made more financial sense for them to do that by far. And I think, yeah, man. And nowadays, to your point, it just wasn't manly enough to do back in the day. I think as long as it makes sense for you as a family and it's mathematically adding up and take care of your kids, that's what seems to make a difference nowadays.
I would love to meet somebody who makes way much more than me and gives me the option.
You want to be a house husband?
I'm with that.
Be sure to visit FlyDialogue.com to find out more about us, including our radio station where we stream hip-hop 24/7. Yo, we're literally jamming as we speak. We got a craft beer blog called Cream. Craft rules everything around me. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, the craft beer app called Untapped, or on YouTube. Just search FlyDialogue on all these platforms. Be sure to follow us and friend us, subscribe to us. Long story short, check us out. We'd love to have y'all, and we look forward to connecting with you. And let's talk soon.